A shooting under investigation, a new study about to begin in water pollution control, and don't forget to head to the polls. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, April 30th, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. The polls are open and voters are being asked to head out to cast a ballot in today's primary election. Democrats, Republicans, and unenrolled voters can cast ballots today as candidates vie for the U.S. Senate seat left vacant by longtime Senator John Kerry. Polls are open until 8 o'clock tonight. If you have questions, town.barnstable.ma.us for information. Barnstable police are investigating incidents of gunfire that rang out in Hyannis this weekend and this morning. Deputy Chief of Police Craig Tamish says the first shots were reported early Saturday morning.
Incident about 2:14 in the morning on Saturday morning off of West Main Street in the area of West Main and La France. Call came in as gunshots, and when officers arrived, they checked the area. We subsequently got a call from the Cape Cod Hospital that a woman was in there with a gunshot wound. She had been shot with some sort of buckshot, and she was very uncooperative with the police and did not provide any information as to who may have done it or any of the circumstances.
Tamish says more shots were fired in the same area this morning.
We have another one this morning, early this morning, at which we feel may very well be related to the previous one, whether it was retaliation or payback, something like that. We're not sure at this point. It is still under investigation.
The incidents remain under investigation. Police believe the two are related. Residents headed to the police department on Saturday to drop off unwanted prescription drugs. Deputy Chief Tamish says Saturday's event was successful.
And we were one of several communities that participated in the DEA Take Back program. We had approximately 70 people come into the station to drop off various items, while we were accepting the items. And I believe they said they filled up 6 boxes full, which will be put together with all the other materials and turned over to the DEA for disposal.
Residents are urged to drop off prescription drugs so they don't get into the wrong hands or end up in our water supply. Well, next month, Town Council will meet in workshop session to talk about the future of solid waste disposal. The Board of Health is working on new regulations for private trash haulers, which includes stricter data collection. Director of Regulatory Services Tom Geiler explains.
Well, I think that they certainly want to talk more about recycling. And we have a very low recycling rate. The advantage of raising that rate is not only environmentally friendly but it's cost effective. So they want to talk about that. They need to talk about the types of information that will provide better records in terms of the tonnage and of the solid waste, tonnage of recyclables, and how that is delivered to the transfer station and hopefully on to CMAS or something similar in the future. I think that
several town departments are working on changes to the way in which solid waste is disposed of in Barnstable, as changes to the contract with CMAS will mean higher prices for the town. The Department of Public Works will soon begin a study on reducing sludge at the Water Pollution Control Facility. DPW Director Dan Santos has details.
Really a win-win for the town in a number of ways, which I'll get into in just a moment. But the grant is from the Clean Energy Center, which is an entity that is put together by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and their purpose is to look at clean energy technology, both in the private sector and the public sector. So they provide seed money and grants to private industry to develop new technologies in the energy field, as well as provide grants such as the one we're talking about today to municipalities to reduce their carbon footprint or improve their energy efficiency. And this particular grant is at the wastewater pollution control facility. And as far as background, at the facility, one of the byproducts of the treatment process, other than the water, clean water that we've treated, is a solids, and it's a very concentrated organic matter. And the way we deal with that is we truck it off, and we pay someone to pick that up, and it gets either incinerated or disposed of in approved landfills off Cape. But that amounts to about $500,000 a year of our budget. So it's a significant line item in our total budget over there. So anytime we have a big number like that, we like to look at trying to reduce that. And this process or this grant will fund a feasibility study. In other words, some testing to see if there's a process we can add at the treatment plant that will allow us to reduce the volume of that material, which will therefore reduce the amount of material we have to pay to get rid of, which also will reduce the number of trucks that are coming back and forth to remove this material. Currently, it's about 1,200 tons a year of material, which amounts to well over 500 trucks a year coming and going from the treatment.
Santos says this will go along with other green initiatives at the facility.
Now we're covering about 80% of our electricity usage at the plant with the solar photovoltaic array and the wind turbine. There's also side benefits of reducing this material. First of all, it generates heat, which can be used on the facility, and electricity, which can further offset our utility needs. And then finally, the material that results from this process, where before it was a solid material that gets disposed of, now we've created a material that's useful. And it's useful particularly in the agricultural industry where it's used as fertilizer. So we can actually sell this material. So it really is a wonderful project. And it's, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. So the purpose of this grant is let's see if, does this cost money to install this equipment? So we want to make sure that we're offsetting in a proper way, and we're not doing something that's not going to really generate the return because we paid so much to implement it.
The study will begin within the next few weeks.
Probably in the next month or so, and there's a timeline of deliverables to the town, and what we'll do is we have a report that will be generated after the technologies are evaluated. There's a number of ways to do this, and it gets it's very technical, and there's anaerobic processes and aerobic processes, but we have a consulting company that will filter through all that information and make a suggestion as to what might work here based on the type of material we take in at the plant and the equipment we already have. Another option here is we can supplement the material we have, and this is encouraged by the Commonwealth and in the industry, is you can bring in food waste from grocery stores or organic products from processes, for example, and this isn't proposed, but for example, Cape Cod potato chip, they using organic material. We could take some waste from there, and we could supplement what we have, and perhaps that's a way to generate even more or make the process more efficient. So we'll be looking at those kind of things as well.
Says the study will be completed by staff as well as a consultant.
We'll hire a consultant in the wastewater industry to do this work with Dr. Dale Sod, our expert in public works on the wastewater treatment plant, and also working with Peter Doyle, who runs the superintendent of the plant. And we will evaluate the technologies, make some recommendations, and then there'll be a report generated at the end of this study. And this is a pretty quick study. It'll be done over just a few months, basically. And they'll recommend, hopefully, a pilot test where on a small scale we can bring in some equipment, or even sometimes we do this called a bench test. We do it in the laboratory, and we replicate the situation that we have in the plant on a very small scale to see whether or not this is in fact going to work.
Reminder once again, the polls are open today. Don't forget to go out and vote in the primary election for U.S. Senate today. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.